Colorado's colleges and universities are proving that containing COVID-19 is possible. So we know COVID spreads through respiratory droplets. We know that college students like sharing respiratory droplets. Yet our Mark Salinger found they are also successfully stopping the spread of the virus on campus.
The busiest place on campus this year might just be the line for the spit test.
We do 9,000 to 10,000 tests a week.
The University of Denver has some of the strictest COVID protocols of any school in the state. Even with a 97% vaccination rate, students and staff are still required to test regularly for COVID and wear masks indoors.
By doing that, we're able to feel really confident that we have the situation under control.
Sarah Watamura is the chair of the psychology department at DU and the university's COVID response coordinator. Of the more than 9,000 tests processed at the school in the past week, only 0.32% have come back positive. Compare that with the rest of the state, where the positivity rate around Colorado this week is at 8.9%.
If you do not follow your required testing schedule, if you test positive, you will not be able to access buildings. Your badge will not work.
Because students and staff have to swipe into every building, contact tracing becomes easier as well, and a lot quicker than any contact tracing still happening outside the campus gates.
We trace a positive case, generally speaking, in about an hour.
Across town at MSU Denver,
if you are vaccinated, you do not have to be tested every week.
Vaccinations are required, but 10% of students have submitted exemptions. They're the only ones who are required to get tested regularly. Larry Sampler is the chief operating officer at the university, where the positivity rate over the past week is at just 1.7%.
If you are vaccinated, there are more liberties than if you're not vaccinated, but we want everyone to feel welcome on the campus.
On campuses across the state, there are protocols that help keep the COVID transmission low. Outside, it's hard to notice any restrictions at all.
It is very clear that college campuses are actually a way that we can help contain the spread of the virus because of the protocols we're able to put in place.
All thanks to protocols like the spit test.
Now, while all the biggest universities in the state require COVID vaccines, not all of them have as strict of protocols as DU. Take CU, for example, where the vaccination rate up there in Boulder is 94%, but the people who got exemptions are not required to get tested. CU has done just under 6,000 COVID tests since the beginning of August, where DU does around 9,000 to 10,000 tests a week. The positivity rate at CU, Kyle, is low, but that's a much smaller sample. So, Mark, anytime we see somebody having success in the pandemic that others are not, we're always curious, like, are they doing something different, or are they just doing the same thing better? Yeah, it's not necessarily new. I mean, we saw contact tracing, we saw people trying to get as many people as possible getting tested on a regular basis. That contact tracing, though, is really interesting because they can determine whether there's a positive case within just an hour and then go back and forth. We tried doing that in the rest of society. It just didn't really work out as planned. Yeah, people in charge of universities have a lot more control over people's day-to-day lives out in society. But it does remind me of some of the stuff that you're starting to see in Western Europe, where it's just like, if you want access to public spaces and to be around other people, here are the rules. If we can control the virus, and I think that's important. All right, Mark, thank you.